I don't. I'm sure it happens. I can't really think off the top of my head if this happening on like for men. But why do women not see their place in the world?
Because I think a lot of women have a jaded, delusional outlook on who they are and what their place is.
If I could expound to, the reason why I'm saying this is because I think that, and I've seen this in comments, like there could be a woman doing just whatever, right? She could have a nice dress on, shiny, something, not even anything looking sexual or anything like that. Do a spin around 360, whatever. And then there's going to be a woman in there with like the most disdain that you've ever seen. Or like they'll say something negative about the way that they look. But I'm like, why does it seem that there's so many women that don't understand that that a woman looks better than them?
Because they're delusional. That's something else I hate too. Like whenever they see a woman that looks good, all of a sudden it has to be surgery. It has to be a BBL.
The BBLs.
It has to be BBL. What?
I saw this.
What do you think BBLs were inspired from? Obviously, a real person had to have a look like this for somebody to get inspiration off of.
But people don't travel.
They don't.
But also, I saw something where there was someone in the Olympics, a woman in the Olympics. I forget what sport she did, but she wasn't. I'm not gonna say she wasn't fit. She's an Olympian, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah,
she's an Olympian, but she was of slightly bigger build, not obese by any stretch of imagination, but she's not skinny. Like, you know what I mean? But obviously fit. She's an Olympian, and I forget what sport she was doing, but it required bikinis for some reason. I don't know why, but it wasn't swimming because they have to wear a 2-piece because if they were, I mean 1-piece because if they wore a 2-piece it would fall off.
Yeah.
But I forget what sport. I don't know if it was volleyball, which I don't think it was. I don't know. Or they were just selling like Bikini USA merch. I don't know. But they had the mannequin, and the mannequin was like shaped like.
shaped.
I was about to say ideal, but obviously we can't say that. But it was like shaped nice.
Yeah.
Like shaped like you. And then it had the bikini on it, and then she was just joking. She was like, how does the mannequin have my body shape? Like she was pretending that they put her body shape as the mannequin shape, and she was just joking.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, then in the comments, somebody was like, the mannequin got a BBL. And I'm like, all right.
That's been the newest way for women to cope is the BBL allegation. Like, yeah, like we could acknowledge that surgery has been on a high, but to assume that by every single woman is insane. Like that's just making you want to cope with the fact that, oh, if I had money, I could look like that too because I could get a BBL. Like, no, not every woman has a BBL. Like Ruby Rose does not have a BBL. Like as much as you want to say that to yourself to make you feel better about how she's shaped and how she was genetically blessed, that's on you. But it's just so insane. Like I think what made me realize that was when someone told me that I had a BBL. That's my new shit was fucked up out here on YouTube that one time when I was on my epidemic journey. I'm like, so
but you do though.
Okay. I'm like, so now I have a BBL just because like if I were to eat a whole lot, like we had this conversation that day, I feel like my fat would go to my butt. Like my butt is predisposed for fat. So when I was on a Pentamin, a lot of my fat did go there, and my legs stayed kind of small. So that's what she like. You see, like in my family, that's literally how the women in my family are built. If they wanted, like Amira's built like that. Like people thought she had a BBL because like she's always been built like that her whole life. But that's just where a lot of our fat distributes. I'm just on the small side, so of course I'm just small all around. But if I like ate a whole lot, like I would, like, my butt would probably be like a fucking giant. So like the fact that the girl thought I had a BBL just because she said the butt didn't match the legs. I'm like. That's when I knew girls were literally mentally ill. I'm like little old me. My butt isn't even big. Little old me is being accused of having a BBL. Like, obviously, Amira's gotten questioned about that. Like people asking for bodies, bro. I'm like, that's insane to me because like, it's just genetics. Like it's just normal. But yeah, a lot of women are just very insecure about themselves, and that's been the best way for them to cope as of late. It's just that like to throw that accusation like a woman has to have fillers, BBL, lip fillers.
It's definitely a lot more common, but we were having this conversation about why it seems like all the same men and women run through each other in the industry.
Yeah.
I think that we also, to that point, why it seems like it's so much more common than it actually is because people are looking at a select group of people that are getting them. Like you're looking at
Instagram models.
Right. With that such a small subset of the entire country. Yeah. Obviously most of the world does not have a BBL. Like especially in other countries. That's like also like a very American type of thing, very American and European type of thing, because the rest of the world, more likely than not, they're kind of naturally built that way.
Yeah, literally, that's
like
where
South America.
Yeah, there's one girl, she's from Brazil, and like she's a good influencer. People swear that she had a BBL, like it's so obvious. I'm like, it's not. Like that's like I'm like, what does the B in BBL represent? Brazilian butt lift. The girl's literally Brazilian. You're gonna accuse her of having BBL when literally they're the freaking where the style came from, like Brazil.
Let's talk about it, right? Canada, I don't know what they do. They have like a lot of skinny people up there.
Yeah.
Mexico, I think they're just naturally built the way they are.
Mexicans, no offense. I hope this doesn't offend people, but they're not really built the best. Okay, that was
We're gonna cut that out. They
I'm sorry.
South America, they're pretty much all they're like they've
Like
been
Colombians, Brazilians.
they've been like the poster child for the best looking bodies.
Cause they usually have like a more narrow waist, like the hips, the butt.
And I don't even want to necessarily even talk about the way that they're shaped, but like we don't see a lot of modifications coming out of South America. We don't see modifications coming out of Mexico.
Yeah.
As far as we know, but more likely than not, no.
Yeah.
And I know those doctors exist there, but the doctors exist there for Americans to come get the procedures done. Europe, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of lips.
A lot of fillers.
Africa, absolutely not.
You know.
China and all of the Asian countries.
What they do in Asian countries a lot of what I found out is they do eyelid surgery.
Make their eyelids bigger.
They have the monolids and they want the lids. So that's one thing I know they do. It's like they add eyelids.
But yeah, most of the modifications come out of this part of the world, and it's not even a big majority of people. Like I could list you probably hundreds of people that I could think of off the top of my head, and none of them have.
I will say though there is a popularity though because I've seen more BBLs than I've ever seen in my life.
Oh no, it's getting up there, but now
like literally on the internet, it'll be like the most random person with like 200 followers. Like, oh, I'm getting a BBL. Like
yeah, we went to Starlets, we've seen it. It's all there.
You didn't have to put that out there.
We'll take that out too.
You take it out. I'm just saying.
It's like fucking BBL growing center over there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's just I don't know. Like women, that's the funniest part. Women love to mask behind this whole like girls support each other. Women support women. Like women hate each other.
Women hate each other.
They're in competition. Really they're in competition. Like scientifically and genetically, like whatever, we're in competition for like the mate. Like the man is the mate. Like no matter, like women will never want to say that the man is the prize, but the things that women have done to each other for the sake of a man proves to me that a man is a prize in a sense. The way that, bro, I've seen some women do the craziest things to each other for over a man. You're gonna tell me that they're in no shape or form of prize? Like no. Like I think it all comes down to biology, and like in the animal kingdom they fight over mates too. But let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's stop trying to act like we're we love each other and we're girls. Like no. I'm not a girl's girl. I'll admit that right now. I only support women that support me. I only support the women that I love and care for. I don't care about a random woman on the street. I really don't. Like, I'm not gonna betray a woman. Cause I'll never betray a woman for the sake of anybody else. But I only have like love for women that have love for me. So the people who I consider friends, people who are family members to me, that's it. But like, I hate women that swear. Like the women that swear that they are girls and they love all the women. Those are the women you gotta watch out for. Those are the snakes and the weirdos who do weird stuff to each other. Like no. We see every day this type of stuff women say to each other. Like in the common denominator, in more cases than not, is a man behind it. Like I said, with this show, all the hate comments of this woman, the common denominator is this man, Rob, that they feel like she stole him. So women do not like each other, and they gotta stop acting like they do. And yeah, they gotta stop being delusional. Do you think like maybe it is delusion, right? The men that the women that do think they look better. There has to be some delusion there.
Yeah, I wonder if they think that I wonder if they don't know that they don't look better. So let me word that.
I can't.
The delusional
I really
women.
don't know.
I can't tell if they think that they look better than the person that they're speaking about, or if the delusion is just that they don't think that this person is as attractive. And I guarantee you, if they ask their significant other.
You think it's delusion? I feel like we know somebody like who if I told you a camera, like who I swear she thinks she's like the best thing that's like out here, and like based off how she acts online, and just like you're not that cute.
She's not.
And it's funny because everybody who I talk to, who like when they bring her up, they all say the same thing, and like the way that she be like portraying herself and acting like that, it's just like crazy to me because it's like you don't like where's the like obviously everybody should love themselves, but the demeaning towards other people and like the things that you're saying like it's a fact. It's insane to me.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that I even immediately knew who you were talking about. But yeah, she built a little like interesting. It's
very interesting.
I don't know. I can't tell what it is. I think yeah, of course you should always love yourself, but I think being realistic with yourself is also loving yourself.
Yeah.
I think that you shouldn't.
Like, don't be delusional.
self affirmations should be real. Like they should be true. Like the things you're affirming about yourself should actually be real.
Yeah, like you obviously everybody should love themselves, but to act like when we know that there's only like a small percentage of people who literally fit this certain bill in a certain image, like that's just how life is. Like people win the genetic lottery and some people don't, and that's okay. Like you can still love yourself and that could still be a fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you shouldn't be out here like
These bitches,
these bitches can never blah blah blah.
like,
And
oh, they absolutely can because they are. Like they a lot of them look better than you. So what do you mean they can never? They can.
and they are.
And they are
doing it right now. Actually, the post before this, they were doing it better than you. But
like no, that's not demean other women when you're not really up there.
yeah, I can't really tell what it is. I think because I've seen it from both ways. There's the ones that are truly like you can hear in the things that they say, like, oh, they really think that this woman isn't.
Yeah.
Like if they asked their significant other, he would pick her over you probably every time.
But he probably won't. But he's gonna lie. But and if he was honest,
He was honest and truthful, yeah, then he would.
If she came up to him today and like said, "I want you," you would be dropped like a fly.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you'd be dropped like that.
I think the best way to think of it is like put two pictures, one of you, one of them, and pretend that you're a man, and then from there think who would they pick. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I do that with myself. Like I'm not out here to get chose by anybody, but I think one of the important things to understand where you fall in life is comparison. They say comparison is the thief of joy, but comparison is also necessary to see where you fall in life. So if I see myself here and all of my statistics and my attributes, and I compare it to the field or to a specific person, then yeah, I do that all the time. Like, and you should. Like, I know my specific percentage of how much money I make and what percentage that leaves me in the country and in the world.
But that's why I don't understand why people get offended by that because that
like,
really happens in the animal kingdom. Like when they pick their best mate, it's always the strongest, the best mate in the whole kingdom. Is what all the women go after. Yeah. So like, why is that? That's not any different from humans. Like if you make more money, look better, have a better body, then of course you're going to be a more suitable mate because like that's just how science works.
Right, and it's also okay to not be right. Like I would never, by any stretch of the imagination, say that I'm more like I'm the most attractive person.
Yeah, me neither.
And that these men can never.
I see attractive women every day. I'm like, damn, these bitches is pretty. Like, what the hell? Like, but that doesn't mean like I feel like I'm like on the bottom totem pole. I rank myself exactly where I feel like I rank. Like,
and that's also why I would never make my captions is like the way that I've seen women tend to make their captions very like centered around trying to prove something against other women. Yeah. Like, oh, they can never, I'm
Isn't
better.
Isn't that funny to think that's what if you boil down to what the caption is, it's all about like in competition.
And who are you talking to? Yeah. Like your followers, people that are following you and
the people who are liking your pictures and supporting you, yeah.
Yeah, like who are you talking to? That's why I can never do that. But that's where it's like that level of delusion, you don't know where you actually rank in the world. But they really believe it. That's like the part that's kind of like shocking.
And the funny part is they believe in it until the day they die. Because there's older women that still have that same mentality and they look a mess. Like you're built, like you literally built crazy. You look like you don't look that good. Like it's come on. And the only people who are validating you are people who are not even at your level or lower than you. Like that's the thing. They be getting validated by like bums. Like the men that validate them aren't even the really attractive men.
That's the one thing I've seen men
so confused.
Men do better than women too. Is that men are more likely to be honest with their male friends than women are. Yeah. I think part of that is because men aren't as sensitive, so they could get told something.
Yeah, they might be like, "Your hair is dusty. Go get that cut."
Yeah, your hair.
Like you say that to a woman, it's She said, "Hater."
Yeah, like somebody could come up to me and be like, bro, they pushed your hairline all the way back. Yeah. And I'd be like, damn, for real.
Like, what's good with the hairline?
Yeah.
And but you say that to a woman is, oh, that bitch a hater. You see how she's trying to comfort me with my hair? Like, no, she's trying to help you out. Like, your hair looks a mess. You need to get it done.
So then they live in this false fantasy of where they actually are. But to me,
I swear, you see it all the time. The women that be like, oh, I'm a prize. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, are you? What makes you that? Like, give me a list.
Yeah, and it's not even to be so critical of them, even though we need to be critical of them. But I think it's an important life lesson because if you don't ever look at yourself in those ways, in those critical ways, like it hurts, right?
You can't improve yourself.
It hurts. Like when I've gone through my major transformations with my personality and things I've done wrong and like my life how my life ended up being harder than it necessarily needed to be at certain times. It's tough. It's hard to listen and talk critically about yourself
Yeah.
in your mind. It's not fun. Like, those things hurt. I've cried over certain things to myself, by myself. I might just be sitting in the car crying about how I might have messed the situation up and being critical of myself and trying to do better and be better. And those things are necessary. It's always important
Yeah.
to try to continue to progress and be better and be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Because if not, then you'll never get better and you'll always
Yeah.
just be flat. That's
Yeah.
why I always, every day, it's just something better in my life.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think people realize, like, being critical of yourself actually prevents you from being mediocre. Because if I'm over here, like, you know, I make 6 figures now, and if I'm like, yeah, I make 6 figures, I'm better than everybody. Like, no, I want more. I want more money. So I'm looking at other people who I work with. I'm like, damn, like, they're CPAs, so that I know they're making a lot more. Like, I got to get there. Like, it's always gonna be, I got to do more. I'm never gonna be like, obviously, I'm very proud and happy with my life. Like, I just said today, like, how I was like in our closet. I'm like, I've always wanted to walk in closet, and sometimes I gotta like remind myself, like, damn, you're living the things you wanted. Like, enjoy it. So I'm always like very like acknowledging of what I've done in life. But there's always more. And I know I'm not perfect. I know there's plenty of things I still got to fix with myself. I say that all the time. Like, I know when I'm doing a lot. I know when I'm being annoying. I'm very self-aware. Like, even there's been so many times where I say things online or even say things on the podcast. And I'm like, damn, that was annoying. That was weird. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? Relax. Be better at communicating this. Be better at talking, you know, having clearer points. One thing I hate about myself, I slur a lot when I talk. But I don't think I'm perfect. Some people will have all these flaws about themselves and they don't even acknowledge them. I acknowledge them and I try to work on them. Even if I'm not working on them, I acknowledge them. A lot of people don't acknowledge that, and it's like scary. It's like delusional. And like you said, if you don't acknowledge it, there's no growth. Like, I don't think I would be as successful in life as I am right now if I never acknowledged that I wasn't doing what I should have been doing at certain points in my life. Like, I have a lot of regrets about stuff my decision I made in life, and like, but some people literally won't. They won't. They think that everything they've done was perfect. They think how they were in a relationship is perfect. It's always the other person's fault. The relationship ended because it was them. But no, nothing I did. It was just 'cause it's just them.
I was about to say another thing is when people sometimes they acknowledge that something is wrong or something could have been better, but it's always
the other person,
some other reason.
Yeah, like for me, I always say, like, a lot of my friendships that fell apart, I acknowledge that a common denominator in a lot of those friendships falling apart was my lack of communication, my lack of speaking up, my lack of calling, texting. I acknowledge that. But I feel like nobody else acknowledges where they go wrong. Like, they don't say, okay, I could have did this better. I could have did that better. Like, people don't acknowledge where they went wrong. It's always somebody else's fault. Like, no, it's not how life works. There's usually, unless somebody does something so specifically wrong to you, there's usually always a reason why there's a disconnect. It's on both sides, always, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, it's just crazy. I don't think people like. It makes me kind of like. I mean, I'm happy I have you, but it just makes me.
I'm happy I have you too.
I just think there's not a lot of people like us.
What else would I do without you?
There's a lot of people like us, and we haven't met them, and don't let me. Cause I just feel like how self-aware we are, and how the things that we talk about are very rare. Like, I feel like people are like. I feel like we live amongst so many sheep. Like, sometimes I'd be around people, and I just be feeling like I'm literally in like a freaking simulation. I'm like, boy, this is how people really feel and think. Like, like I just.
That's why I turned into a hermit.
Me too.
But I'm not really a hermit.
People will be wondering why I'm so isolated. Is because that's why. Because I feel like so many people are just abnormal and just like. I don't know.
Yeah, because there was like.
Are living in the freaking simulation.
There was a particular individual that followed me. Mm-hmm. That I met in real life, and I'm being vague on purpose, just in case they ever see it. Mm-hmm. And I could tell, even prior to the interaction that led to them following me, that this doesn't seem like the type of like guy that you should necessarily want around, like, to be cool with. Because you can kind of just tell. I could tell by mannerisms, and I can just like tell based on his interactions with other people. I'm like, yeah, he probably like a scumbag. Mm-hmm. And I still don't necessarily know that to be 100% a fact, but after seeing certain things after that happened, I was like, oh yeah, he definitely like. I'm glad I was correct. Mm-hmm. He definitely a scumbag. Yeah. I'm like, I would never want to be around you. But but that's why it's like I just kind of.
You end up saying to yourself,
keep to myself, because
it's just people are like, I feel like people are just so, it's just like, it's so many variables. There's like the people who are sheep, and then there's the people who, like you said, who just don't acknowledge it, like they're not real. They just never acknowledge like their flaws, like they think they're perfect. It's just like there's so many things with people that just throw me off that like I can't be around that.
Yeah, and people are cool, like can be cool, mm-hmm. and that's like perfectly fine. Like people are great and you can interact with people, but I think I could never get super deep on an intellectual level.
Yeah, with a lot of people.
And maybe I could have previously, but the way social media has like poisoned
Yeah.
everyone, I think,
It's probably so bad now.
yeah, I don't
'Cause that's how
even.
I even feel like a lot of my ex friends. Like I feel like we've had our conversation and I get this heat in the moment and people are upset. But I feel like in all my conversations, I've always said where I went wrong, and none of them have once acknowledged where they went wrong and genuinely apologized. I have. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm like I did this bad. Yeah, I was this. Yeah, I was that. I always at least acknowledge how they feel. No one has once in all my conversations acknowledged what they've done to me. And I feel like that for me proved a lot about how these are the people who were in my life. I'm glad they're gone because they couldn't even acknowledge in a closure conversation their wrongdoings. This is a closure conversation. We don't even got to talk ever again after this. And you still couldn't be real? Like, I'm glad you're gone. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. People think they're so perfect and so free of flaws and they think that everything they do is right and justified and never could acknowledge where they went wrong. And it's just like, off-putting.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with yeah, I really do think it all comes back down to social media because I feel like prior to that people didn't really necessarily think that way, but now it's kind of like you've and it's on men for men and women, but we have like the poster children of what people want to be in life, and a lot of those people usually the people that get to those positions are the person we should least have represent and be the like the goal of what people are looking toward, right? So because of that, and you have, I don't want to call anybody out specifically because I don't want to sound like I'm blaming any specific person, but you'll have somebody on, like for women, you'll have a woman that realistically kind of prostituted her way to where she's at in life, which is fine, no judgment, of course. But then the statements that they give trickle down to all of like the normal people, and it like poisons their mentality. Like, oh, he don't love you if you don't do this. Like all these kinds of different things. Like, what's homegirl on TikTok? I said I wasn't gonna call out specific names, but what she do is sprinkle or some shit.
Yeah, I forgot her name. Something with an S.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And some of the stuff that she's saying is not necessarily wrong either.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like that. Like those become the poster children,
Yeah.
and they are the ones that are influencing the way that other people think. And 9 times out of 10, really 10 times out of 10, those people are not the people you should be
You should be listening to.
The people you
And
should.
the way that you know they should be listening to it is the people. A lot of people who push their like ideology. Nobody's living the life that they swear, like everything they're saying. No, how come nobody's living it? If this is the way of life, then why aren't none of you guys a living proof of it?
Right, and that's why instead of looking to social media for advice or to think about how to go about doing certain things, literally the best way to do that is to speak with the people that are actually in these positions. I don't understand why there's like community built off of people that don't have shit.
Literally,
like it's a community built off people,
wishful thinking,
right?
Literally,
and idealism, right? Like why do people not look toward the people that have been married for 50 years on their advice
on marriage,
on relationships and marriage, but you're gonna listen to Miss Bend It Over on Instagram with 1 million followers? Like she's not gonna be the
or people's advice on 50-50. No one wants to listen to actual couples who are successful, everyday couples. They want to listen to the 1% in the world of Instagram models and rapper baby mamas who get cheated on and dogged out. That's who you're listening to,
right? Or the
Sweetie
women
with no successful relationship. You want to hear listen to her about 6 figures, 8 figures, whatever she's saying.
Or the women that are getting the man to pay for everything, he probably hates you.
He probably I mean, I don't want to put this on everybody, but like, you know, there's definitely abuse involved, cheating, whole bunch of stuff. Is it real love? Yeah, I think there's definitely real love out there. People who have 100%, but there's always usually a power dynamic in those situations. Always.
Yeah, and he probably hates his life. He might not hate you, but he definitely hates his life.
Yeah.
And let me not even put that on everybody. I think more often than not, I would say he probably hates his life.
That's not every single
because
case.
Some men would rather spend it down to the negatives.
Yeah.
To pay for their woman because it makes them feel like a man and all that other stuff. But more likely than not, the man hates his life.
Yeah, especially in this day and age. Like this economy is literally brutal.
Right. People don't. We know the numbers.
People can't even afford to pay for themselves. People who still living with their parents and they talking about 50 for relationships. Bitch, move out of your parents' house first. You can't even afford to live 100. Like, let's be fucking honest.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. People who can't even afford to move out of their parents' home and they want to talk about being catered by a man. Like, you can't even do it for yourself. I only respect that opinion from women who could do it for their own. If you want to be taken care of by a man and you could do 100% on your own, okay, fine. I agree.
I think
But the woman that came to do it for their own, saying that shit, be pissing me off. Like, you came to do it for yourself.
right. I think that people's expectations of, I mean, people obviously do whatever you want. I really legitimately don't give a fuck. But I think for me, because I'm like a principled person, I like very textbook, one-to-one, everything's black and white to me. I think that you shouldn't demand any more than you can do for yourself.
Exactly.
And that's where
If
it
you
should
can't
start.
pay for yourself 100%, then don't demand that from man. Like, you still on your parents' phone plan, on your parents' car insurance, on your parents' everything, and you want that, you think a man's gonna be able to pay for all that for you and himself.
Remember, before we moved in together, that was always my thing that I said. We should never live anywhere where one of us couldn't pay for everything
On our own.
On our own.
Yeah.
So this
So
kind of
even
the
if
same
our
thing.
salaries are different, if I can afford it on my own and you can afford it on your own, then we shouldn't do it together.
Yeah. Unless there's something like ridiculous disparity.
Yeah.
Where it's like me or you is up 30 million.
Yeah.
And we live in a $10 million house.